Death be not proud.
Look at me, I'm fully charged, and when slightly aroused, my dick is large. Of course, that'll be the new thing that all the kids are saying these days when they go to school. It'll be like Captain Planet or something, you know? Just sign over this order not to dump any more sludge and I'll let you go. I've painted a new army. This is a showcase video to my Abyssal Dwarves. And of course, I'm slightly aroused whenever I actually get off my ass and finish an army. So let's go see what I painted. So starting with my left flank, I've got the rock pile, or lesser obsidian golems, 4 hordes. Reason I'm going with hordes is because you've got that 17 nerve, and if you get them within some magic, within range of certain magic items, especially the banner of the griffin, you get that fearless 18. Kind of tough to deal with, especially if you've got 2 hordes up in your grill. They're going to be around forever. This is the only unit I painted. I'm going to be honest. With you at the door. I only painted 1 horde of rocks. I subbed out the rest of my rocks to Big Mike over at Kahuna Studios. He does a lot more 40K, so don't be afraid to ask him about that stuff, but I'm the only one he's done fantasy and historicals for. He used to, he started doing the base colors. He would just quickly do the dry brush of metal, dry brush of fabric, and the dry brush of flesh. For a lot of my early 100 Years War French knights. Then he would send those models back to me. I'd clean up the lines, I'd do the leather, I would highlight the flesh, I would do the facial hair if any, and then I would wash the miniature and base it. And he helped me start a lot of... one thing that I wish that I had somebody to do for me was start the miniature. You know, the dry brush fabric, you know, my 3 colors down phase of all the... dry brushing, and then I just clean up the lines and I finish the miniature. And that's one way you get an army out really quickly. He also did my Praetorian Guard regiment, but I've used him before. He's pretty reliable, plus he's a really nice guy. I've known this guy in person, played games with him, and yeah, this is Kahuna Studios work right here. I got this one in the front because I really like the way the gray mixes with the cool blue. I did a little bit of a light wash on the fists and just some of the outer rock because I felt that the gray was a little bit too bright, so that's one modification that I added. And then I did the basing on all of the miniatures for this entire division here, division of rocks, because any regiment that I thought that I could bring was about 200 points out the door, so I might as well pay 210 and have exactly what I want. The nerve, the power. The only problem is I'm slow, but I have things that offset my slow-moving rock pile here. And over here, we have the Herpy Dragon and Super Rock. I don't know how much I'm gonna use him as Infernoc, but this is actually a really good buy at 160 points. This is actually something I can use to be chaff for my rocks. I can put him in front of 2 regiments of in front of 2 hordes of rocks. I can then dance him out there with Surge and then say, "Come at me, bro," because if you destroy him, you're getting countercharged by 2 hordes of rocks or whatever follows after that. That's something that I thought about really right there, because it seems like whenever I roll the Super Rock, he does very subpar in close combat, so maybe he's there to take a charge and then I countercharge and dish out some damage. Of course, I had to have the dwarf on the Herpy Dragon, the Supreme Ironcaster. It's just, it goes in really, really well with the fluff that maybe there aren't a lot of these guys, and that's kind of the fluff for Abyssal Dwarfs, in my opinion. You're not going to see a lot of dwarfs in an Abyssal Dwarf army because they're either mutants, dead, or they're the ones that are there, just there aren't a lot of them. And so basically, I don't know if I just found out with the 2019 cow pack that you have the ancient what is it called, Herpy Dragon. You have the ancient Herpy Dragon, that's what I'm going to call it, because his face looks like a giant herpy, and I don't know. I like the sculpt. but it's still the same basic dragon with a different head. Let's get a little bit of a closer look here for him. This is not a miniature that I would recommend for beginners. You have to do a little bit of a, let's get my pointer. You have to do a little bit of green stuff work right there, and then you have to kind of like mesh it to make it look like scales. I didn't do too good of a job. And plus this is I'm sure that the new one is resin. This is a very heavy pewter head. And you're lucky he's got these big ass wings and this huge ass to kind of weight the model down. So it's not really that front heavy, but it is a little bit front heavy. And then you got the guy, one good design factor here is that you do have the guy sitting on the back right there, and that kind of just keeps the model forward. Again, you have yellow eyes, big. I just copied the box basically. I wasn't really thinking too much about like doing my own thing or anything. I did get a gap right there. That's something I missed, you know, but I think it looks good. He's got the one thing that I really like that I've been using a lot of for my armies and multi-bases. Let's get one example of that out. Now I just used sand on his base. That's okay. His base is plastic and it lent itself to sand really well. But on these guys right here, I've been using a lot of thick mud. Or what is it? Russian thick mud from the Vallejo line. Yeah, I don't waste my time with the Citadel texture paints anymore. Screw that stuff. This stuff is the real deal. Really good. Plus you get a lot of it. I don't know what the cost of this is. I'm not gonna look it up. You have Google, but really, really good stuff. You only need a little bit of good news about this. You only need a little bit of scorched brown. Watered down, and it sticks to this stuff like fly to shit. So you can quickly paint it brown with little to no effort. All you need is a big brush, and you need a butter knife to get it out though. I have a little plastic spreader that I use, but real good thing there. And that's what's on the base. And then I had to like model these rocks underneath him and everything because he doesn't really fit totally on the base at all. So that's something else to watch out for. I'm sure if I was determined, I could have used a little bit of heat to maybe get the legs to go down, but I was able to wedge this stuff up under here and super glue it really well so that the model would at least have 4 points of contact to its base, which is very important there. Starting there, we have Balin, the Fallen of Khazad-dûm. I got that miniature right there. I know he's not an Abyssal Dwarf. I got him for $3, and I think the reason I got him for $3 is because he's got a terrible mold line running down his face, so I've got no shame there. I'll just use it. He's just a proxy till I get something new. One of the things that I really want to add to this army are the mutant half-breeds, and then I haven't given this guy, I haven't given this hoser a name yet, but that's my other, that might be the Dova King himself. That's just what I might use him for, is just helping back up the rocks. But you know, I'll have a decent amount of surge with this army at the beginning. But you know, this is just the start off. You know, if I were to add up everything, I think I'm just at about 2,400 points with no magic items for the entire army. And this guy's gonna be, he's gonna be flying around on with the wings of Honeymaze, defense 6. It's basically Pharaoh all over again that people used to cry about in the olden days. But yeah, those are my other two characters. I want to get some of those Abyssal Half-Breed champions, maybe 3 of them, see how that works out because they're pretty decent too. But yeah, I kind of like this wing of the army, just the rocks, and that they use the rocks to fight for them because there's not a lot of dwarfs left, because maybe the slave orcs killed most of them. And if you read into the lore of the orcs and goblins in the old Warhammer world, the orcs were slaves to the Chaos Dwarfs, and then one day Chaos Dwarf said, "I'm too lazy to whip an orc to do any work. Why don't we create the black orcs to do the whipping for us?" And when the first chance the black orcs got, they revolted, and all the orcs and goblins followed the black orcs, and they destroyed everything except for like 2 fortresses. And then the hobgoblins at the last battle basically betrayed the greenskin race and snuck to the back and started backstabbing everyone, and then that's why hobgoblins are killed on sight by both night goblins, forest goblins, and orc tribes. They're just murderous traitors. So that's those two guys. Nothing special there. So right here I have an entire division of cavalry. So we'll kind of go through this slowly. I was thinking 2 troops simply because I might need a screen for some of my cavalry. This is also handy to have around as fill-in. It's only 85 points. I was thinking either gargoyles or what do you call those things? I don't remember. I don't care right now at this point. Lots of gargoyles, tons and tons of gargoyles, but just the slave orcs kind of made sense because I need an element of the army that's very quick and can move with speed, and something you don't want to ignore. Good thing about gargoyles is that they're fast, but they're fragile, and they don't move very quickly. I was also thinking about throwing in Basusu the Vile at some point, but starting with 2 regiments of slave orcs, 2 troops of slave orcs, all on gores. They do hit on 4s, and they have thunderous and crushing 1 each, so that's something to look forward to there. They are defense 4. They're not like their orc counterparts that are defense 5 and hit on 3s. But I was just thinking, let's make up for my lack of speed with some chaff. And the Gore Riders are probably the best chaff pound for pound because, 1, you don't want to leave a unit of cavalry ignored, because if it gets on your flank it could be devastating, and you don't have yellow-bellied when you flank charge. And 2, I can throw these units away, or I can push them onto objectives just to hold them for a turn and then drop them behind me and pick them up with a unit of rocks that might not die until the end of the game. So that's kind of an advantage right there. Just a little element of speed. I do have the yellow-bellied special rule with these guys, but you know, at 130 points a regiment, that's decent chaff. My rule for chaff is always no more than 150 points, sometimes 160, depending on the situation. And you know, that's just really good throwaway. And then to kind of anchor the army. So right here you have the Abyssal Half-Breed Regiment. And this guy, again, on the wings of Honey Maze, he'll be able to fly around and provide some inspiring. Not to mention, I probably will run Dravik Dulcan and Infernock, simply because I want the extra inspiring presence and I want the Surge of 10. Plus the Supreme Ironcaster has the Surge of 10 as well. And I can give him a magic weapon or something like that. He's not threatening as a close combat guy, but it's just a cool centerpiece model to have. The way I start armies is I block out all of the regiments and hordes that I need first. And then I amend it with the proper amount of chaff. I don't generally have a plan in mind when designing an army, because that's tournament gamer shit. Tournament gamers generally have a plan when designing an army, and they go with that plan, and they'll play a lot of test games before actually going and painting the army. Whereas I am more of a collector. I'm going to buy a lot of models anyway and do a lot of regiments anyway, because I like to have choices. So these are my choices before I arrive to chaff. And if I need to get gargoyles, I can get gargoyles. If I need to get some decimators, which I want, I can get some decimators. But I can always wait until later. I want to get something down on the table that I can use right now, and that's always my number one priority, is get your army down on the table as fast as you can. If your army just happens to be 7 regiments and a couple of characters with 1 chaff unit, that's fine. Just get it down there. Get it painted, play it, see what works, enjoy it. And that's that kind of brings me to my next point. I want to do less projects and more playing, definitely. Since some of my friends have their schedules are about to free up. I've had 2 friends move into town, and I also had another friend that I've been playing Lord of the Rings with, and that's really where I'm at. You know, I think it's going to be really. I want to do a lot more games, and a little less painting for a while, because I've been going full steam ahead ever since I started Romans 100 Years War, Undead Again, and then what do you call it? These guys, which I already had 750 points of. The 750 points being a Horde of Rocks, Super Rock, and then a Wizard Dude on foot. But that's the basic showcase video. We'll come up for a summation.
When on.
I figured sold out. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, thank you for watching my showcase video if you happen to make it this far. A couple of side notes. I've started a Facebook page called Holy Diver Battle Reports. That's a page where you can go talk about gaming. I won't delete your threads if you leave links to your channel or anything. As a matter of fact, I want to share your content, especially if you're doing something Mantic related or historical wargaming related. I don't think that there's enough of that going out and about. And so if you are thinking about making content, hit me up on my Facebook page at Holy Diver Battle Reports. Make sure you leave a like. Another side note, there'll be a description. In the description bar, you will see a link to Kahuna Studios. He's the guy who painted up some of my rocks for me in this video. Want to leave a big shout out to Mike at Kahuna Studios. I also wanted to ask you, how long should a battle report be? 15 minutes for a 2000, maybe 30 plus for a large game? Let me know. I just want to make some decent content for you in the games to come. So you have that. And then another side note, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, because if you leave a like, YouTube can go through and remove the like on the video. This is something that has happened to me, I think, on more than one occasion. I've had a couple of videos blow up, and I noticed that the likes would be at like 100 one day, and then they lose 40 likes the next day. YouTube can go out and delete likes off of a video. One, because I'm not monetizing. I have no aspirations to get my little gibbons for YouTube content monetization there. I don't really give a shit. And besides, there's way too many commercials on YouTube. And I would rather watch the commercials than hold a premium subscription, because you don't even get free movies. I thought you get to rent movies for free, so I found that out the hard way. You have to buy movie rentals on YouTube. But there's that going on, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe on the video, and don't forget to leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the content as a whole. Anyway, as you know, YouTube has many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, or subscribe. But until I see you again, keep playing Kings of War, keep painting, and stay metal, my